Hello and welcome to Bustanomics episode 6. It's been a couple of weeks since I got one of these done because I've had some things going on that prevented me from getting one done. And honestly, I'm not concerned about keeping a consistent schedule. I do these when I feel like them. When I feel like it. When I feel like them. When I'm feeling it. And I didn't feel it. I had other things going on. Usually when I do these, I have an audience in mind, and sometimes that audience is myself, sometimes it's somebody that I know, sometimes it's some people that I don't, or persons that I don't personally know, but I'm aware of, like a group of people. Hey, I'm aware that there's a group of people that wants to know some information, and I'm going to see if I can explain it to them. And I know that I've only done 5 of these, but at different points during me recording one of these various audience people come to mind. For this particular episode, I have 2 very clear individuals in mind that I'm doing this for. And I'm not going to name them. I don't think it's really my place to name who they are. It's not like they're secretive individuals. If anything, one of them is quite face forward. If you want to find him, he's very much that way. He's the kind of the man behind his company, and he's proud of that, and I think that's a good thing. I'll talk about that more on the latter half of this. But it's him, this individual, who is the main driving force behind this company that I'll be talking about in the latter half of this episode, and I'm nearly certain of this. Yes, one of his sons. I think he has a few children. So one of his sons, maybe his only son. Hang on, my door is clanging around. And given some recent interactions with these 2 gentlemen, I decided to make this video with them in mind. I hope that what I'm about to talk about will apply and be useful to other people. On the note of that, of being useful and what I'm doing here, I'm not looking to make money. I don't even really care if I get all that many subscribers. I've had YouTube channels. I've had 3 or 4 at this point where I've tried to get YouTube subscribers up, and my wife and I had one where we were talking about different hobbies and stuff that we did, and we got close to 10,000 subscribers, and that was fun and whatever. It's a thing, but I'm not here for this particular channel to do the YouTube thing. I'm here because I want to be here. And with that said, the number one thing that you could do to help me out is not subscribe, is not hit the like button. If you want to do that, hey, cool, great. I assume that you know how to subscribe to YouTube. Oh boy. I assume that you know how to subscribe to a YouTube channel. And if you want to subscribe to this channel because you like what I'm doing here and you want to be informed of when I do a new one of these things, cool, great. I'm not mad at that, but that isn't what I'm here for. What I'm here for, and I'm also going to talk about this when I'm talking about the subject on the latter half of this, is for human connection. First and foremost, I'm doing this for myself. But secondly, I'm making it public because I'm hoping I will connect with somebody. And I really think that connection is what drives so many people. It's what drives, I think, musicians. They make a song and yes, ideally it is first and foremost for them. They're doing it because they have these sounds in their head, in their soul, and they go, I need to express these. And they do the damnedest that they can to get what they hear in their mind out and play it. And I've never made music at all. I'm no musician whatsoever. But I imagine that the process of trying to get this thing that you hear in your mind out and then playing it is challenging. And I would be surprised, or how do I want to word this? I imagine that many musicians, maybe even most musicians, have a number of songs that they've played and they go, it's not quite how I heard it. I know this to be the case when I write things, because that is my creative outlet, is writing. when I write something, the thing that I'm wondering first and foremost is, does the reader see this the way that I do? And I've gotten past the question of, do they see it exactly the way that I do? They never will. Nobody ever reading what I've written will ever see it exactly the way that I do, because they have their own biases, their own interpretations, their own life experience, their whole filter, the person that they are to run my information through. So the bridge, the media that I'm producing here, this written content is going through them and creating this thing. But is it good enough? Is it close enough? I don't know. And I think that is the goal of many, many people that are producing something. All right. What does that have to do with what I was talking about? Well, if I have made that connection with you, if I have made some sort of link between you and I, and what I'm saying resonates, leave a comment. That is where I'm going with all of this. It means more to me than your subscriptions. It means more to me than your likes. The number one thing that scratches my back is if somebody leaves a comment and it's not just first, it's not just I was here, it's something pertaining to what I actually talked about. And ideally something midway through, so that I know that you didn't just listen to 3 minutes and be like, yeah, I heard you saying the thing about comments mattering to you more than subscriptions, so I'm commenting for the algorithm. No, that's no. And I'm not imploring you to leave a comment just to leave a comment. No, I'm hoping that whatever I'm talking about inspires you enough to leave a comment. Now, I know that I haven't said anything yet that has been all that inspiring, so let's get to it. I said I'm going to break this into two parts, or I have mentioned the latter half of what I will be talking about. So the latter half is going to be talking about you get what you pay for. And the price of things is not usually, there are some exceptions, but the price that you see for a thing isn't because that person, the seller of that thing, wants to make a whole bunch of money. That usually is not the case. Now, there are examples of that out there, and I'll mention them. Supreme is the first one that comes to mind. But if it's a product made by a craftsman, it is something made by somebody that cares about what they're doing, chances are they have crunched the numbers and they are doing the damnedest that they can to make a little bit of profit. Yeah, because they're trying to keep a roof over their head. They're trying to feed themselves and their family. But at the same time, keep the price as low as possible to sell as much as they can. I've worked retail a number of years, and we don't, in any of the jobs I've ever had, we don't want to sell things at a really high price point. There's an adage that you may or may not have heard, but most retailers would rather sell 1,000 things for $1 as opposed to one thing for $1,000. All right, so the latter half is going to be talking about you get what you pay for, but the front half of this is going to be talking about Bitcoin. You see that I'm wearing a Bitcoin hat. You might have even seen maybe in the background here, we got the Bitcoin logo right above my mic there. This whole background was made for me by a guy over on Twitter by the name of World of Rusty. And the reason I'm talking about Bitcoin to this audience of two is because this company, which will be named later on, I may as well name it now, Weatherwool, has been interested in accepting Bitcoin, or crypto, I believe is how it was worded on the site, for years. I believe that the owner of the company, which I'm not going to name him. If you want to look him up, if you want to go to Weatherwool, you can find his name really easy. But I'm just going to refer to him as owner and owner's son. I believe that it was back in something like 2014 or 2015, the first time that he mentioned it. So it's been around and an idea on his mind for a long time. And I'll explain how I even found Weatherwool, why I found it. But we're going to go over this real quick. I'm going to break down what this whole page is. This is timechaincalendar.com. And on this page, there is a whole lot of information. Right now, I'm going to go left to right like we're reading a book. So up here, I'm going to start in this top leftmost quadrant. We'll go over here to this quadrant, and then we're just going to work down. So up here, we have Epoch 5. What does that mean? Well, When the Genesis block was mined back in 2009, that started the first epoch. When a block was found, the miner was rewarded with 50 Bitcoin. Originally, that was just Satoshi when he's just got this whole thing rolling, and then I believe Hal Finney and then other people. And at the time, to mine a block required very little computing power. There was not much hashing power to the whole system. It was maybe a few laptops, a couple of CPUs. It wasn't that much. And then as time went on, it got more advanced and people realized, oh, we can start using GPUs, graphical processing units. That's more tailored to what we want to do. And then the next jump was to ASICs, and an ASIC is an application-specific integrated circuit. And that's not what they look. I mean, that might be what the chips look like, but this is what an ASIC miner looks like. These blocky, chunky things looks like it looks like a cell that you put in a something. Well, this is what it looks like when they're all lined up I think this is like a digital representation, but this is what it looks like in an industrial facility where they've got just hundreds, sometimes thousands of these things churning away, trying to find the next Bitcoin block. Okay, we'll talk more about that in a minute. So we are in the fifth epoch. So back in the day, between 2009 and 2012, 50 Bitcoin were rewarded for every time a block was found. And then that was cut in half. It's after 210,000 blocks. So you can see here on this yellow outer circle that we are 200,495 blocks away from the next halving. We just had a halving back in April, so we're just a couple of months away. So this is slowly over the next 4 years, we'll tick, 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 tick all around. All right. So between 2012 and 2016, we were in the second epoch, and every time a block was found, you got 25 Bitcoin. Then it was the third epoch, 12.5 Bitcoin. And then we just recently, the fourth epoch, and every time a block was found, 6.25, 6.25 Bitcoin was rewarded to the person that found the next block. I'll explain how a block is found here momentarily. And right now, we are currently in the fifth epoch, right here, fifth epoch. And then in 4 years from now, in 2028, sometime in 2028, probably sometime between February and June-ish, blocks are found on average once every 10 minutes, and depending on how much hashing power comes online, that fluctuates. It goes up and down. It's not a constant thing, but we can have a pretty good estimate that it's going to be sometime the first-ish quarter of 2028, probably somewhere around there, if things stay as they are. Hash rate, computing power might go through the roof, and it might push that time frame back a little bit. I would be surprised if it got pushed all the way back into 2027. That'd be wild, but it could happen, I suppose. Maybe. That seems terribly unlikely, but possible. And when that happens, we will be down to 1.56 Bitcoin every time a block is found. So from 50 Bitcoin all the way down to 3.125 that we're at right now. All right, that's what the epoch is. The subsidy is that right there. It means that we get 3.125 Bitcoin when a block is found. The supply is how much Bitcoin there is in existence and circulate. How much has been mined right now? 19.72 million Bitcoin has been mined. That is 93.89% of, you can barely see it right there, of the 21 million total supply. The hard cap that will never be changed. If that was changed, Bitcoin would not be Bitcoin. This is what makes it so important, so good as a money, the hardest money that has ever been known. Because you might say, well, what about gold? What about silver? How much gold is there out there? We don't know. We have no idea. We have absolutely no idea. There could be some massive deposits in the ocean or in Siberia, or heck, with Elon Musk and what he's doing with his rockets, maybe he'll find a massive chunk on an asteroid that's passing through. Who knows? There's unknown quantities of gold and silver in the world. There's a lot of it. We don't know. We have absolutely no idea. I guess you could make an estimate, but with Bitcoin, we know for a fact that there is only 21 million Bitcoin. We know that. That's how much there will be. And the final Bitcoin, with this halving schedule, the way it works, the final Bitcoin will be mined in the year 2140, when you and I and anybody else watching this, unless somebody's watching this way down in the future, everyone watching this right now is probably going to be dead in the year 2140. Almost certainly. Maybe not, but probably. So that's what the supply is there. Moving over, we've got the exchange rate. So if you want to buy a whole Bitcoin, which you can do, but to do that, you will need $62,256. That's a pretty big ask. And a lot of people, when they see that number, certainly myself, back when I first learned about Bitcoin, oh my goodness, I can't afford that. I don't have $62,000, whatever it was at the time, $11, $12, $15,000. It wasn't 62 at the time, but it was a lot of money. And I looked at that price and I went, oh, I don't have that. Little did I know, you don't need to buy a whole Bitcoin. You can buy a portion of a Bitcoin. And one of the beautiful things, one of the many, many beautiful things about Bitcoin is that there really actually isn't any such thing as a Bitcoin, but there are Satoshis. There's 100 million Satoshis in one Bitcoin. But for whatever reason, people have decided to call Bitcoins, they've referred to it. So it's like a dollar, there's 100 pennies in a dollar. And you could say, well, there's really not dollars, but there's just concentrated chunks of 100 pennies, and we call that a dollar. Oh, okay, fine. So there kind of is a dollar, but it kind of isn't. It's sort of like, I guess, Lego. So there's no such thing as a Lego set. There's a bunch of bricks, and then when you put them all together, yeah, same thing as a human. There's no such thing as a human being, but when you take this collection of consciousness and memories and ideas and cells and skin and bones and flesh and blood and blah, you've got a Dell, you've got a this, you've got a Bob, you've got a Jenny. Okay, fair enough. Whatever. We're getting a little pedantic here. So if you don't have $62,000, that's fine. You don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin. Do you have $1? Because if you have $1, you can get yourself 1,606 sats. And you don't even have to buy, actually, I'm not sure about that. I was going to say you don't have to buy even dollar amounts, but I don't know about that. I think you do. I don't know of any exchanges or brokerages that you can buy into the sense. Maybe. I'm not sure. But anyhow, just wait until you have $2, $3, and then you can get yourself some Satoshis. With a market cap, with a supply, that's what I wanted to say. With a supply of 19.72 million coins in circulation, or that have been mined, I should say, if you multiply that number by this price, you get yourself the $62,301. You get yourself a market cap of $1.23 trillion. It's a lot of money. Now, this is a little bit misleading, somewhat, a little bit. That market cap should actually be a little bit higher because there are not 19.72 million coins in circulation. There's probably closer to 14 million, maybe 15, maybe 16 million, because back in the day when people did all this mining, some people were not all that careful. And there have been stories of people, this is not a USB drive, but pretend it is, it's a chapstick, saving their Bitcoin to an address on this thumb drive and then losing the thumb drive. Telling their girlfriend, oh, hey, throw away the green thumb drive and save the brown one when we move. I don't need the green one. It's got old documents on it. And then they move to the new place and, oh, you said throw away the brown one, right? It's keep the green one. Oh my God. No, that had 100 Bitcoin on it. Holy crap. That was $6.5 million gone. Now, you'd think that somebody might be a little bit more careful with something like that or have some backups, but hey, that kind of story is more common than you might think. So there is an estimated lost number of coins in the range of, to the tune of something like anywhere from, I've heard, as low as 2 million and then as high as 5 million. But there is some number of lost coins. So there might be as many as 17 million coins in circulation and as few as 14, 13 million, unknown. All right. The hash rate is how much computing power is going into this thing, this Bitcoin protocol, the whole network of Bitcoin. To put this into perspective, there is more energy, more hashing power, more computing power going into the Bitcoin network than any other computer network on the planet. There is more computing power going into Bitcoin than all of Amazon Web Services. There's more computing power going into Bitcoin than all of Microsoft. The totality of Microsoft. There is more energy, I'm talking about power now, energy going into the Bitcoin network than all of the US Navy. There is so much computing power, so much energy going into this thing, backing what it is, that the idea of it breaking at this point or being stopped is laughable. Absolutely laughable. Now, there are two primary complaints that people have about, or not complaints, that's not the right word, two concerns, I guess. People say, well, what if there were an electromagnetic, an EMP blast? China or Russia or North Korea, yeah, right, but some place launches an EMP attack. All right, yeah, that might knock out electronics in an area for a time, but the Bitcoin network is going to keep on chugging along. So even if there was some crazy EMP that knocked out all electronics in the totality of the Americas, from the southernmost tip of Chile all the way up to the northernmost top of Alaska and Alberta, so South America, Central America, North America, totally dark. Well, you still got Africa and Russia and China and Europe and India. The rest of the world still has Bitcoin going along. You're not going to shut it down. Okay. All right. I hear you, Del. What about a solar flare that fries the entire world? What about your Bitcoin then? Huh? How about that? All right. Yeah. But I'm pretty sure that if the totality of electronic equipment across the globe, the entire globe gets shut down, your first concern isn't gonna be Bitcoin, even if you have hundreds of millions of dollars worth of it. Your first concern is probably gonna be, where do I get some clean water? Where do I get something to eat? How do I not get attacked in the streets? That's not going to happen on the first day or the second or the third, but it might after the first couple of weeks when people are going, oh my goodness, the whole food supply system, logistics chain of everything got shut down indefinitely. Yeah, well, yeah, maybe. And at that point, you might wish that you had some quality clothing and some good gear and some skills, the know-how to go out of your big city environment and get into an area where you can sustain yourself. That's a whole nother subject for an entirely different time. But my point here is that if a solar flare knocked out all of the electronics across the totality of the globe, your number one concern isn't going to be, what's Bitcoin doing? It's going to be, how do I survive the next 30 seconds? And even with that said, once the electronics started to come back online, Bitcoin would just be right there, chugging away like nothing had ever happened. It would just be put on pause. That's it. All right, moving down. The difficulty right here. I don't know exactly what this means. 83.68 terahashes per block, I think is what that means. I'm not entirely sure. So most of this information I do know, but not that one. Public nodes, that's how many people or how many nodes, think of this little paper bag as a node or whatever, my phone, this is a node. It's running the totality of the Bitcoin blockchain. So this giant number right in the center of the screen, the 849,508 is how many total blocks have been mined. And each of those blocks has all of the data, all of the information from its current block and all of the past blocks as well. So it's a ledger. It's a ledger of all the transactions, and each new block that gets added contains all of the past blocks. That's what makes it so impressive in what it is. It's got all the information contained in it. That, moving down here, jumping, so you've got 19,165 nodes that are running copies of the blockchain. If we jump down a few lines here, we see that, is it actually being blocked by my mic? Yeah. Right here. So the total space that you can see here is 725.45 gigs to do that. A little bit further, kind of the last little bit down here that you can see, it says the last block reward was 3.247. Now, why is that? Why is it a little bit higher than 3.125? Well, because its subsidy, the 3.125, the reward that you get from the protocol that's baked into the system, plus the fees. So let's move over to the center here, to the middle of the circle here. And on the lower quadrant, the lower third, we see fees, this green, they're low, green is low. Priority, 10. Anytime 9, not that much difference there. 10 and 9, it's a difference of 1. But single digits, low double digits is inexpensive. You pay for the amount of space that you will be taking up on a block. So if we go over to mempool.space, we can see a block right here being templated. This block, once it's finalized and found by a miner or a pool, as is more likely the case, will be added to the blockchain. And all of these transactions that are on there will be part of the immutable, unchangeable history of Bitcoin forever and ever. It'll be locked in there. So this most recent block, 849,508, had 5,387 transactions on it. Can I zoom in here? There we go. 5,387 transactions. The one before that, 3,400. Before that, 2,700, 3,600. You pay for the space that you're taking up here. Each block has a limited amount of space. Think of it like an email. If you're sending an email to somebody, you can only put so much data in that email. I don't know what the total amount of information that you can put on an email, but I think for a Gmail email, it's something like 25 megabits. So you cannot attach every Lord of the Rings movie and 3 seasons of Seinfeld plus the entire library of music from Chopin. You can't do that. It'll go, whoa. You can put maybe a couple songs, but you can't fit a whole movie on here. You can't put all this stuff. Same thing with Bitcoin. There's only so much space. And so you're paying for space. So if you have a whole bunch of transactions, meaning let's say you want to send some amount to Bob, some amount to Jenny, some amount to Billy, some amount to Susan, the more addresses that you're adding to this, the more space it's going to take up, and you're going to pay for that space. If it's the cheapest transaction is a 1-to-1. You're sending some sats from Bob to Billy. Bob is sending to Bob to Billy. That's it. That's going to be pretty inexpensive. The more you add to it, the more complexity, the more, I want to send some here and here and here, or I'm taking all of these addresses, I'm consolidating, I'm sending all of from this to all these over here. Then it starts to cost. What else do we got here? We've got the average block time was 10 minutes or is currently 10 minutes and 38 seconds. And that is applied, that is referring to this current difficulty adjustment. So that's the inner red ring. So every 2016 blocks, a difficulty adjustment happens, and it either goes up or down. And it's always the protocol being the protocol is trying to get the difficulty down to a block time of 10 minutes. That is what it's always trying to do. So we can see right now that in the last 24 hours, only 124 blocks were found. So you see these gaps in here, these little blips. These represent blocks being found. So there's a couple that are right on top of each other, like this right in here. There's 3 right there, another couple right here on top of each other. But then there's these gaps, and because of how much hashing power is online right now, blocks are coming in a little bit slower. If you were to increase the hash rate right up here to say 600, and you added a whole bunch more computers working on trying to find an next block, well, they're going to start coming in faster. It's easier to think of what the miners are doing as, I didn't have my screen over here. So sorry. So the block time here, 10 minutes and 38 seconds. You can see the little blips here, these little white blobs there. And so this red inner circle we were at 1,244 more blocks before the next difficulty adjustment. And if everything stays the same, there will be a downward difficulty adjustment of nearly 6%, bringing the target time back to 10 minutes. Now, I've heard people say, and a lot of people actually say that, what Bitcoin is doing is solving advanced problems. No, it's not. It's not solving advanced problems at all. All the miners are trying to do. They're not even, when I say miners, I mean the ASIC miners, the computers, not the individuals, not the people, not the owners that are running their mining rigs. The computers themselves are trying to find a low number. The protocol sets how low that number needs to be, and you can think of it like monkeys on a typewriter. The person with the most monkeys pounding away is going to have a higher chance. If you have 10,000 monkeys pounding away on typewriters, you have a higher chance of one of your monkeys finding or typing out a 3-letter legible word than some guy over here that has one monkey. And if you have unlimited supplies of bananas energy, then you'll be able to feed your monkeys for free. So the only thing that you'd have to pay for at that point is the overhead of the space to clean them, and we'll pretend these are magical monkeys that don't poop, but yet they need to eat to stay powered up. I don't know. There's some sort of weird cyber monkeys, I guess. And that's all they're trying to do, is find a legible word. And as the difficulty increases, it goes from a 3-letter word to maybe a 5-letter word to, and that was maybe back in the day, back when the mining first started. We are now at such a complexity, so advanced compared to where the whole protocol started, that the monkeys at this point have to find an entire page out of Shakespeare. Not just a word, not a complete sentence or even a paragraph. They have to get an entire page. And it doesn't matter which play, which sonnet, that's irrelevant. It's just anything, any complete legible page from one of Shakespeare's works. That is what the protocol is saying now. Now, it's not saying that, but I'm using that so you can wrap your head around this idea a little bit better. It's not super advanced mathematical equations that even Stephen Hawking would have been, in Oppenheimer, in Einstein in their prime, working together, would have been stumped by. That's not what they're doing. That's not it. It's just find a number lower than this, and the machines are sitting there basically rolling dice trying to find a number that's lower than that. As soon as they do, bing, they're rewarded. The block subsidy, which is 3.125 Bitcoin, along with whatever fees. And this is all happening automatically. It's not like somebody's sitting there monitoring things and watching it. There's people aren't doing that. They just set their stuff up and it's running, just like much of the internet mostly just runs. There aren't people actively ferrying your emails going, oh, yes, here, let me take the email from this inbox. It's just happening. Once it's up and running, it's working. The reason I'm mentioning all of this and spending so much time on breaking down the complexity of what Bitcoin is and why it's so impressive is because Bitcoin is the best. By far, not even remotely close. You might hear other people talk about what I will refer to as shitcoins. Saifedean Amos wrote a book called The Bitcoin Standard. And most of the book, I'm pulling up an image here, most of the book is him talking about money. And very few people, I was certainly one of them, have any idea of what money is and why it is so important. And if there is any book that you ever read on Bitcoin, I would suggest it be that book. There are plenty of books, but that is an extremely simple, not even all that long of a read. You can find an unabridged audiobook version of it on YouTube. So if you want to play it at 1.5 speed or even 2.0 speed, you can get through the whole thing in 6-ish hours at double speed. 8 hours. I think the total book is something like 11 and a half hours. So even if you're listening to it at regular speed, that's 12 hours of your time, not even a full 12. And I highly recommend that book because he breaks down what money is, how money has been used, and what it's looked like in different societies throughout time, and how every single money, every single currency, without exception, has been debased by the people in control. Because once you get your hands on the money printer, that is one of the most horrible powers a human can have. Because we are now living in a world, and most governments fall under this, to my knowledge. I don't know that there's any that fall outside of this, where there are a select group of people that have a legal monopoly on counterfeiting money. They can make as much as they want, whenever they want, for whatever reason that they want. And yeah, you might say, oh, they have to go through Congress and they have to, the Senate and the president, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Yeah, sure. And these government shutdowns that loom, and somehow at the 11th hour, they always make it pass. And then along with an extra multiple $1 trillion, they always print more money. And it's not actually physical printing tangible dollars. It's just beep, boop, boop, type a number on a screen. More money for me and none for thee. Reason I mentioned Saifedean Amos is because he referred to Ethereum as the mother asshole from which all shitcoins flow. The reason, one of the many reasons, that Ethereum is such a steaming heap of dog shit is because this is their roadmap. It is an incomplete system. It is something that is continually being worked on. So in the past year, they did something called the merge. And maybe now they've done, I don't know, but at some point they're going to do the surge. And these all have all sorts of different things that they're doing and working on. And then they've got the scourge, which requires, I don't even know what most of this is. I know that Ethereum is a thing, but I haven't paid it any real serious attention because once, I'll get to it here in a second, once I realized something, I went, oh, that's horrible. That's a terrible, terrible, terrible thing to put your money in. Then they've got the verge and the purge and the splurge. I don't know what most of this means. Vitalik Buterin, one of the main guys behind Ethereum, like the main guy, is still alive and walking around. He's doing just fine. He's like, if you have the wherewithal and the money and the means, you can go and talk to this guy really easily. He can change Ethereum anytime he wants. He can change it. He can do this. They're actively working on changing it. Is that going to be a good thing for you? I don't know. Will it be a bad thing for you? I don't know. Will it benefit Vitalik? Probably. Will it benefit you as well? Who knows? Bitcoin does not have any CEO. There is no person to call up if things break. There is no person in control. It is a commodity in the sense that oil or salt is a commodity. There's no controlling entity over salt. Nobody can change the properties of salt because they don't like the saltiness of salt. Salt is salt. Yeah, there's different salt in different areas, sure, and there's different salt companies, sure, just as there are different Bitcoin miners and different people that work in the Bitcoin space, but Bitcoin is Bitcoin, and there's nobody changing what Bitcoin is. You can only find digital scarcity one time. Everything else that has come after Bitcoin is an inferior copy. De facto. End of story. Now, I can make a parallel here with something like this. I have been interested in finding a poncho for years and years and years because of this fellow right here, Clint Eastwood, the man with no name, poncho. There we go. I don't know when it was that I saw this movie, but between that movie and Lord of the Rings, reading the Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, between this stuff, the Lothlorien cloaks that they were given by Galadriel, and this movie here, The Man with No Name, I wanted a poncho. Now, there's a couple of problems here. First problem is I'm not Clint Eastwood, so I will never look like this. I'm never going to pull off that look. Just kind of whatever. And the second problem with the Lothlorien cloaks is there's no magical cloth that exists in our world that actually blends and is active camouflage, that when you lay on grass, it blends in with the grass, but when you lay near rocks, it blends in with the rocks. So I can't have a look like Clint Eastwood, and I can't have a look or a magical cloak because they don't exist. So over the years, I have looked for a poncho that would work. It's been an on and off type thing. And the problem, I'm searching up different things here, with most ponchos is they have a look that I have zero interest in donning. There we go. It's this look. It is this look right here. And if that is your look, have at it. But I am not a bohemian, Burning Man, whatever this is. I don't even know. But that is not my look. That is so not my look. This is not my vibe at all. Many of these ponchos look like they're not all that great of qualities. This looks like it's just made out of a thin cotton. And so the hunt for a poncho that doesn't have some sort of crazy pattern isn't whatever this guy's doing here, or this crazy look that isn't that kind of thing, has been difficult. The closest I ever got to purchasing a poncho was this right here. This Poncho Via tactical soft shell poncho. It's got a decent cut, looks all right, not too bad, but soft shell, I thought, if this is water resistant, not waterproof, okay, what are we doing here? I live in Washington State where it rains quite a lot. So if I'm wearing a soft shell poncho that's supposed to be water resistant, then I may as well just find one that's Gore-Tex. Well, there are some that are made by Nike, but they're like this, some sort of offshoot of Nike ACG type thing, and they're $500 for a, and they're made for women anyways. It's like a female cut type thing, and it comes with an attached vest. Whatever. The poncho world is not great for guys, to say the least. So when I was looking around and I came across this poncho, the weather wool one, and I saw the price tag of, let me zoom in here, $800, I thought, this is a joke. Now at the time, the weather wool website wasn't as cleaned up as it is now, and so the somewhat janky, no offense, website led me to believe that maybe this was a scam. Maybe I was missing something. Maybe this was not a real company. Maybe some, I don't know. And even the name, like weather wool, it's not, usually you don't have, it'd be like if I was looking at guns and it was shooting pistol or something like that. I was like, what is this? Come on. What are we doing here? Or bullets rifle. You get what I'm saying here. It's like it's kind of saying what it is, but makes sense. So it just didn't, my spidey senses was like, well, what the heck is the deal here? Weather wool, that's not a real name, is it? $800, give me a break. Well, I did some research. It's real. It's absolutely real. And much like Bitcoin, there is a reason that this price is high. Can you find a wool poncho or an anorak for less than what you're going to pay over at Weatherwool? Certainly. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's jackets and coats here. They've got the anorak, Al's anorak, for $675. Could you find one for $200? Probably. A wool one? It might have wool in it. Is it 100% wool? Don't know. Is it good quality? Don't know. It has wool in it. Sure. Probably. For $200? Probably. But there's a reason that the weather wool stuff costs what it costs. And this is what I was talking about earlier when I said making a connection. I'm going to jump around here a little bit, but the reason the price is what it is because the people behind this company care about what they're doing. Deeply. Exceptionally so. I mean, really, really, really deeply. And you might be wondering, well, why are you saying that so much? Okay, that's great and all. Why are you saying why are you putting such emphasis on that, Del? Because you don't have a return policy, a no-risk testing policy like Weatherwool's no-risk testing if you do not believe in your product. But it's not just that they believe in their product right here. I'm going to read this. No-risk testing. Big point. If you want a refund, just say so. Months down the road, no problemo. Can't have anyone unhappy. And you can watch this, and he says that exact thing. This is the owner right here. If you call him up, you will talk to this gentleman. You will speak to him. Can't have anyone unhappy. Even if it's a case of needing your money back, just let me know. I don't see that and go, oh, this is somebody that really cares about their product. I do see that. Oh, absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely do I see that. But even more than that, I see somebody that created a thing and went, I'm looking for the connection with other people, like-minded individuals that are out in the woods using this stuff. did I make a good product? No, seriously. Is this good? Am I a crazy person? I don't want to be a crazy person. This is what I imagine is going through this man's head. I want this to be a good thing. I think it's a good thing. It feels good to me, but I'm me. And I've had my experiences in life, and I'm one individual. And I've had some people that are close to me say that they really like it, but, they're close to me, and they kind of have to say that. So I trust them, yes, but I don't trust them quite the same way that I would trust a stranger that is running survival courses or just living off-grid in the woods and needs to have really good quality gear. I want that guy's opinion. I need that guy's opinion because I want to know that I have come up with something that does what I want it to do. And what I want it to do is work for that guy. Does it work for that guy? It does? Fuck yes. Fuck yes. Hell yeah. That's what I want. This is the same kind of thing that I see when somebody makes music, or when I write something, or when somebody makes a music, or not makes a music, makes a movie. They have an idea. The true artist, the true craftsman. Now, you've got a lot of people out there that are just winging and banging stuff out because, I'm going to slap the word Supreme on it. It's just a piece of crap, whatever, halfway decent t-shirt from Hanes, which it's whatever. It's a Hanes t-shirt. It's fine. It covers you. It's something to make you not naked. You slap the word Supreme on it, and we sell it for $500 because people will buy stupid stuff. People will buy a Supreme t-shirt for $500 because reasons, but they will balk when they see the price of one of these weather wool things. On that note, there is a let's see if I can find it here. A comment on a YouTube video that I was watching. Where is it? Yeah, here we go. Sorry, moving things around, getting it pulled up. Here we go.
Hey, welcome back to another.
Okay, it's this guy. All right, so over here on Sigma 3 Survival School, there's a comment from this guy down here, Missouri Survival Outdoors 9547. That $700 price tag on the Anorak, LOL. They can keep that shit, LOL. It's worth. Then he says it's worth it. I've got 3 of them. And says I can understand what you're saying. And then blah blah blah. The guy is saying LOL, keep it, is saying that U.S. manufacturers need to realize that there's other companies out there, and if they want to be competitive, they got to lower their prices. No, you don't. Not if you have the best of the best thing out there. If you're the only one making this thing, if you're the only person that has weather wool, and I don't mean the company, I mean the material, the actual textile that has actually gone through the process of finding the things that make that thing, the sheep, the specific lamb's wool to get a specific thread that is turned into a textile that is finished. All that whole process is not just whatever. Let's just, I found this at the local thrift store and it feels kind of all right. Let's do something like that and then cut these different designs out of it. There are people that will focus predominantly on the cut and the look of something because they want it to be stylish and whatever that fucking means, because that lasts 5 minutes and then 2 years later, it's no longer stylish. So if you're always chasing whatever stylish, it's a fool's errand. But then there's other people that chase the textile. They want the best textile and the style. Look, we want it to look good on somebody, but that's not the primary concern. The primary concern is that this works for what we're designing it for. This is true of a lot of things. And this is true of Bitcoin. Bitcoin was designed to be the best money that has ever existed. I don't know what Ethereum was designed to do. Apparently it was designed to be the world's computer and people are going to use it to build applications. What does it even mean? How do you use a cryptocurrency to build I don't understand it. Doesn't make any sense. It's nonsense. They're always changing whatever it is they're doing. It's this constant gobbledygook nonsense, and every other crypto is doing some other wackadoo thing. I don't care. But it's nonsense. It's all crap. They're all absolute dog shit, garbage. 99.9% of them are people trying to make money on this token, Bob token, Jimmy token, Floyd Mayweather token, buy in now. Well, by the time you hear about it, you're a sucker. You're buying at the top, and the people that made the thing are already on the exit, selling out because they gave themselves some on an initial coin offering, the ICO. They gave themselves 1 million coins. You bought in at $20 a piece. Now they're selling off. It's stupid. It's all stupid. Bitcoin is not that case. Bitcoin is the best form of money that has ever existed, and it can't be messed with by governments. And there is an overlap here with Weatherwool and what they do. As far as I can tell, there is nobody else in the world making wool of this quality. And once you watch some of the videos of what Weatherwool is doing, and you go down the Weatherwool rabbit hole, and let's see here. Weatherwool, you watch some of these videos, you can see I've watched a number of them. Ones like you can see I've watched most of these actually. This one here, the making of part 1 and 2. Watch these. Watch those. Watch part 1 and part 2, and tell me that there isn't care going into this. Or this video here, where he jumps in the river there with Weatherwool on to see. And I plan to replicate this test with the poncho. I've told the owner that I'm going to do the exact same thing with a poncho, wearing nothing but the poncho. And he mentioned, well, your feet might get cold, but I'm a nimble little guy, so I imagine I'll be able to pull my feet up under me and rub myself. Well, we'll see. Hey, look, I'll have my car nearby, so if it gets to the point where I'm thinking, oh, this is dangerous, then I will not put myself in harm's way. But I want to see how well it does. So I plan to do that. I take great pride in owning things that actually work and do what they do. I will gladly, happily spend nearly $800 on a poncho from this company, given what I know about the material, what I know about the form and function of the actual piece, but maybe even more than that, what I know about the people behind the company. That return policy that they have is insane. Truly, I've never seen anything like it. And that on its own is nuts. But I have called the Weatherwool number and spoken directly to the owner. There's no, oh, please hold and press this for that. No, there's none of that. It's just dink to the owner. Now, I don't know how big they can get before they have to stop doing that, but that I was able to do that even once or twice it's mind-blowing to me. The amount of care and concern and passion, as much as that word is overused and I dislike it, but it applies here, that goes into what this company is, and the entire process of it is unparalleled. Well, okay, at least in this department. I've run into it in a lesser degree in a pair of boots that I have. I have Russell moccasin boots that are custom made. My wife bought them for me back before we were married. I think we were maybe engaged at the time. Boyfriend, girlfriend, I don't know. Anyhow, she got them for me, had to measure my foot, and actually did something wrong with the measurement, so we had to send it back, and it was a whole thing. But now I've worn those boots so many times that I think I've gotten them resold 2 times, at least twice. Maybe I'm on the 3rd now. And they are by far, no even close comparison, the best, most comfortable boots I have ever worn. I would buy another pair in a fucking heartbeat if something happened to these. And actually, I had a blowout on one side because I wear them so freaking much. Like, they are my number one go-to boot for anything. They're just what I put on anytime I'm going outside the house. And I had a blowout in one area, so I sent them to be repaired because I really did not want to lose those boots because I love them so much, and their sentimental value as well. It's kind of like an heirloom piece as far as I'm concerned. And I sent them to a place that's not that far from Russell Moccasin. It's a cobbler that works with them to get them repaired, send them out there. They were gone for 6 weeks or something. He had to kind of unstitch the boot, to get in there and repair it, and it's good as new now. You wouldn't have any idea. You'd have to look, and you can see the stitching in there. But aside from that, functionally flawless. And because of them making such a good boot, you'd better believe if anybody asks me, where would you recommend I get boots? The first thing off of my tongue is Russell Moccasin. Without a doubt. I have another pair of boots, of work boots, that are 3 times as heavy from White's that are also handmade, and those are some heavy-duty boots. And if you wanted boots to kick down doors or go tromping through the forest and not worry about anything, you can kick a bear in the face and go, see what's for lunch now, mister, because you're not getting through these boots. There are some seriously rugged boots. All right, I wouldn't kick a bear in the face. I'd leave the bear alone. Whatever. You get my point. There are some serious boots. The Russell Moccasin are much lighter. They're more like tennis shoe boots. They're real lightweight. It's extremely comfortable. My point to all of this is that, yeah, I'm going to pay for quality. You better believe I'm going to pay for quality. What makes more sense? To buy one pair of boots that costs $500, or maybe that's up to $700 now because of freaking inflation. Let's say it's $700. Let's say it's under $700. What makes more sense? Buy that pair of boots for $700, or buy a new pair of shoes for $120 every year, roughly, because they're falling apart. No, I would much rather have that ongoing relationship with the boots. It's a weird word to use, but I mean it. You have this connection with the boots. You have the connection with the company. No, I'm not constantly talking to the company, but every time I put those boots on and they don't fail me, which they never have ever once, even that little blowout that I had, that wasn't a fault of the boots. That was a fault of me wearing them all the damn time, like across the country, this and that, just constantly wearing them. Things do wear out. That ongoing connection that I've been building with those boots means that, yeah, if I ever get to a point where those boots just have finally bit the dust, I'm buying another pair straight from Russell Moccasin, without a doubt. No question asked. This is true of different things that I've purchased. The wallet that my wife bought me, this leather heavy-duty wallet made in, I don't know where it was made. I think actually in the Pacific Northwest, handmade. I like owning these things that last. It makes a lot more sense to me to purchase one thing that lasts and works for you and does exactly what you want it to do, as opposed to buying 20 different things, hoping you find the right thing that works for you and not really liking any of them. They're just all kind of, because they cut corners here and they cut corners there. So bringing this all together, Bitcoin doesn't cut corners. It is what it is, and it is the best of what it is, with zero exception. It's not even close. Not even remotely close. Weatherwool, from what I can tell, having not experienced, is a similar type product. It is what it is. And what it is the best wool textile turned into garments that money can buy. If you want to be protected from the elements, is it waterproof? No. But wool doesn't need to be waterproof because of the way it works. You could put a shell over it, sure. Yeah, sure. If it's a crazy downpour and you just are thinking, I don't want water on me, or whatever. You're a lady and you got your hair in a certain way, and wear an umbrella, sure. But you don't have to do that and stay comfortable, from what I can tell. And I own wool products, but none of them are great wool products. I have some smart wool socks, and I've got some... Who doesn't have some wool stuff? I don't have any high quality wool stuff. I guess the smart wool long underwear, or... I have a Filson Western vest, but it's not meant to be worn directly on the skin. That would be exceptionally uncomfortable. So it looks nice. It's a good cut. I like the cut on it, and I wear it when my wife and I go out for a meal here and there, a nicer meal. But yeah, it's not the same kind of a thing. So I look forward to reporting back once I do get a piece from Weatherwool, because I'm certainly going to get something from Weatherwool. Feel like I've got one other thing, some other place that I was going to go to wrap this up. Yeah, just real quick. One of the main things that people talk about when it comes to Bitcoin, one of the detractors, or a detractor is a person, one of the negative aspects that detractors will point to, or what they say is a negative aspect, is its use of energy. That is not a negative thing. That is a very good thing. That Bitcoin uses energy is what makes it so important, or one of the so many things that makes it important. If it did not use energy, then anybody could come along and change it on a moment's notice. And that's the way that Ethereum is now. They use proof of stake, not proof of work. The only way to get more Bitcoin is to use real world energy. Sun, wind, hydro, nuclear, coal, whatever. You have to use tangible, real energy, filter it through an ASIC miner, and you will get Bitcoin. That's the way it works. That is the only way it works. That's it. Same thing with Weatherwool. To get a good quality textile that's turned into a good quality garment, you have to have sheep. You have to have the wool. You've got to have the know-how to turn the wool into a thread, a yarn, whatever it's called, and then have that woven into a textile, and then have the expertise and the knowledge and the time and the commitment to turn that into specific cuts. And you don't want to cut too much because that'd be wasteful. Turn these bolts of fabric, there we go, that's the word I was looking for, thank you, brain, into garments. That takes time and energy. That's why the things that matter, because they are real things. So many of the other cryptocurrencies are not real. They're just figments of somebody's greedy imagination. They just type up a thing, they make it, bada bing, bada boom. You cannot do that with Bitcoin. It is proof of work, meaning you have to have real energy going into it to get any out. The way a new block is found, the way your transactions are added to a block, is when a miner expends energy, purchases energy, or finds energy, acquires energy somehow. I mean, real energy, the kind of energy that if you touch a light socket, it's going to zap you. You will hurt. It will hurt you. It will fry your brain if you get too much of it. If you grab the cords coming out of the Cooley Dam in Washington, you're dead. That's real. That is real energy. And that is what's going into Bitcoin. That's what I mentioned earlier, near the outset, that there's so much of that energy. It's more than some small countries. It's more than what is going into the totality of the U.S. Navy. It is ungodly amounts of energy, and that is a good thing. Because not only does it make it real, it makes Bitcoin a real thing. It ties it to the tangible. I've said that word so many times, it sounds funny in my head now. That yes, the tangible real world, Bitcoin is tied to that. It has an anchor to the real world. But it also means that stranded energy, methane from pig farms, methane from dumps, waterfalls in remote areas, it incentivizes, that stranded energy incentivizes miners to come there, to build out infrastructure, to start mining, generate energy, and then that might possibly attract people to come move there and live there. Those are good things. And it turns these stranded energy sources, certainly the methane type ones, into uses that can be turned into Bitcoin. And so when you hear people saying, oh, it's not green, they don't know what they're talking about. They have absolutely no idea what they are talking about. None. Bitcoin is extremely green. There is more carbon harm done to the environment, if you even subscribe to those ideas, from methane than so many other things. And a way to use that methane gas, that off-pouring, is by turning it into, burning it and turning it into energy. But you actually have to have a use for that. Well, here comes Bitcoin. You don't have to have an existing community and a whole bunch of homes and businesses out there to tap into that energy, but you can ship out a few shipping containers full with ASIC miners and start mining, and then somebody might come out there and go, oh, there's electricity out here? Yeah, maybe I will put a home down here. Maybe I will build a cabin. Because it's a chicken egg type thing. Ethereum doesn't use that. And I keep on mentioning and picking on Ethereum because it's the biggest, it's the mother asshole from which all of those shitcoins come from, as Saifedean so eloquently put it. But it doesn't use proof of work. It is not tied to the real world anymore. They use a process now, they used to use proof of work, but now they use a process called proof of stake. And the way that, not S-T-E-A-K, but S-T-A-K-E, staking. The person with a bunch of Ethereum is the person that keeps on getting Ethereum. You stake your, I don't know exactly how it works, but apparently it's something like you stake your Ethereum to lock in various things, and that's how transactions are validated. It has nothing to do with the amount of energy that is expended, which is a really bad thing. It's just fantasy land, silly, goofy, whatever. You saw, look at this Ethereum roadmap. What is this? What does this even mean? There we go. Oh, that's a tiny one. Tool, more. How do I make it big? Ooh. Why is it? Oh, there we go. Size. Large. Okay. What? It's not large. Yeah, here you go. Yeah, does this look like it's a thing that is worth putting money into? This looks like it's barely even functioning to me. I know the merge happened a little while ago, I think last year sometime. So have they done the surge yet? Even if they have, they've got this. It's just this ongoing, constant thing that they're working on, and no. So just because the price of Bitcoin is $62,000 right now, that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. It's a good thing. And that price is going to look like an absolute bargain in the not so distant future. Guess I'll end with that. See you next time. Or maybe I won't. I don't know. Bye.